there, Neil Smith here, and welcome to another thrilling episode of Dandy's Driveway. Today, I'm going to change the oil and the oil filter on a 2013 Dodge Grand Caravan, but not only that, I'm also going to install an oil filter bypass valve. Come on, let's have some fun. The first thing I'm going to do is put the van up on these ramps. Want to go for a ride? But first, I get kisses from my dog, Emma-Lou. Oh, and this one too. All right, so this is everything I'm going to be using for this job. Got the catch pan for the oil. This van takes 6 quarts of oil, so I needed to buy 2 5-quart jugs. The oil filter bypass, which I'll be installing. There's the replacement oil filter. I usually get SuperTech, but all they had was Fram, and the numbers between SuperTech and Fram, SuperTech's the Walmart brand, they are identical. A 13mm wrench, flathead screwdriver, 24mm socket with an extension, and then right there I've got a ratcheting 45-degree angle screwdriver. That little socket's just stuck on there, so I have something to grab onto to get the screws started. So with that said, let's shove the catch pan under the van and get this party started. So here we are under the van, and there's my oil pan. Not to be confused with the transmission pan. Oil pan is going to be, as you're facing the front of the vehicle, it'll be to the left-hand side. Put your 13mm wrench on there and just break it loose. There we go. That knocked it loose. And I usually do this while it's still warm, but not scalding hot, because when it's warm, the oil will flow more freely, and I want it to flow freely to get as much of the junk drained out. So I kind of do this, and then when I see it starting to come, I kind of pull my hand away, because I don't want the oil to hit my hand. I want to, you're going to get dirty, but, try to stay as clean as you can. See, it's starting to drip there. There we go. And as that flows, the oil flow is going to kind of contract over this way. So you want to have it towards the edge of the pan. Just leave it there. The plug's not going to go down there. There's a little thing to catch it, and I'll retrieve the plug a bit later. And to get to the oil filter, we have to pop the beauty cover off the top of the engine. It just pulls right off. And here's what we're working with. The oil filter is right there. But to get to that, I have to take off this air hose. I'm going to start by removing this side of the air hose. Loosen the screw on the clamp. Don't loosen it too much, just enough to wiggle it off, and enough to where you can wiggle it back on without a whole lot of fuss and muss. I guess you can also use the screwdriver to kind of help pry it off the air box. A lot of people say you have to remove the air box, but I do this all the time and I never take the air box off. And this right here is why I need the little 45-degree angle thingy-mabobber, and why I put a socket on the other side of it so I can have something to grab onto. And I think that should be loose enough, and I should just be able to pop the air hose right off and just set it aside. And this gives us unfettered access to the oil filter housing. You want to be very gentle with this. Don't force anything. Firm but gentle. And go slowly. We're not in a big race here. You don't want to break things. And if you have your oil filter bypass intact, getting too rough with this, if anything's broken in there, because they do wear out, sometimes they'll shoot out. You'll hear the spring go boing. This one is missing the oil filter bypass valve, which is why we're going to install one today. It had chunks of it still remaining, and I tried to retrieve them all. They kind of fell down in while I was doing it, down into the oil pump, but it so far hasn't caused me any problems, fingers crossed. That's because the oil flows this way towards the filter. So we're going to go ahead and install that valve today, and there is our filter, and that little part sticking up in the middle right here is where we're going to install the bypass valve. And here's the oil filter bypass valve kit. I'll put a link to it if you're watching on YouTube, and that way you can grab it for yourself if you are also missing the oil filter bypass. And I'll explain why it's important. This is the valve, just a little plastic doohickey, and it also comes with a spring, which is important. What it does, it goes inside here, up in that tube, and it plugs up this, and it forces the oil to go through this paper filter here. Now, you know, your oil's still getting filtered even without it, but the reason this bypass is there is in case your filter gets clogged up really super bad, pressure will build up and it will push this down on this spring inside of it and allow oil to go through. Bypass the filter and go through there, so your engine keeps getting lubricated even if the filter's all clogged. I hope that made sense. You need this. It's a good thing. If you're missing it, buy one and get it. You need it. Okay, so when you're putting this in, the first thing you do is you take this spring and you put it right down in the middle of this thing. It'll rest right down in the middle. It doesn't go all the way down. See, there you go, right down in the middle. And you kind of dress this little doohickey over, and it's got little catchers, so you'll go down and it'll catch against the housing of the little circular thing right there and there. See, it's not coming out. Catches kind of on the second tier there. All right, now we'll put in our new filter, and the one you need is the Fram 10955. It doesn't have to be Fram. I don't know what's compatible, but the SuperTech uses the same numbers, and that's the cheap Walmart brand, which, you know, you'll be fine with that. Hey, my neighbor's firing up an engine there. Very fitting for this video. But inside you have the paper filter, and you also have a new O-ring to seal up around the housing. So let's do that first. So first you want to take a, well, not clean rag, but, you know, one you don't care about, and kind of clean off the threads a bit, get some of the junk off. But you've got this rubber O-ring right down here, and you need to get that off. And a flathead screwdriver will work really well at helping you with this. So, and by the way, when you're buying the filter, open the box and make sure the replacement ring is still there. You want to replace this each and every time. Okay, I got the old one off. Let's discard that, and we'll, you know, wipe this down a little bit more, and then we'll put the new O-ring on. But before we put it on, we're going to lubricate it with some oil. That way it makes a nice, good seal. And we're going to dip our pinky finger into our oil here and go around the seal right here. All around it, outside, inside, just get a nice little coating on it. And there we go. Now we take our housing and we just start working it down. And just do it as best you can, and eventually you'll get the hang of it. You work it all the way down until it gets in this little notch at the very bottom. And you take your replacement seal. This end goes in. It's got the little grabbers there, and they grab in the little little part at the bottom there. It'll just kind of snap into place. You'll feel it like there you go. You hear it lock. All right, that's locked in and it's ready to go back. And you just take your filter, you slip it over that little tube with your new bypass valve down end, and you just start tightening it back down till you can't tighten it finger tight anymore. Then you just come over here and grab your wrench and get the nice extension on it. You need an extension because otherwise your wrench is going to catch up on stuff down there, and you don't want that. So just down, and it'll start getting snug, and you want to go slowly because you don't want to damage anything. And if you crack something here, you're going to be hating life. I mean, it's pretty tough stuff, but you know, and you just kind of snug it on down. Gentle, gentle, gentle. And the lubrication on that O-ring helps it a lot. Helps keep it from snagging up. Now we got it all the way down. A nice little tug here. You're not killing it. It's just snug. And there we go. The filter's installed. Now we're going to put our air hose back. You'll see the natural curves of the hose. Put this one on, and there's little notches where there's that line up to fit back over, and you want to make sure you get this all the way, because if you got any air leaks, you might throw a code. You know, nothing serious, but you know, you don't want to be chasing down engine codes. So fit this one on. All right, so we got the air hose on, and we just need to tighten it down. Once again, just snug. Nothing, you don't need to kill it. Now we'll take our angle screwdriver, and this little thing, help me turn it and line it up. And this one will take a little while, so I'm not going to film it. I'm just going to tighten it down and come back to you. And with that all snugged up, we just pop the beauty cover back in place. It's got these little rubber doohickeys that go down onto little posts, which you'll see. Just line those guys up. And once you got two of them in, the rest just pop right on. You just kind of pat it down. Now, we're going to go under the van and kind of clean stuff up down there and put the plug back in, and then fill this thing with oil, and we'll be done. All right, it's just down to a slow drip here. So we're going to take our rag there, clean that up just a touch. You want to take your rag and clean up the threads of the plug real nice, which I'm doing right now. Clean that up real good and make sure you get debris off the lip of the bolt, because that's got to seal up against the oil pan. Going to screw that in by hand until we can't anymore, then come back with our 13mm wrench and tighten it up. Once again, don't kill it, just get it nice and snug. Just snug. There we go. We're ready to put oil in this thing and crawl out from under the car. Your lid will tell you what weight oil you need. Me, I use the high mileage formula. I just use the cheap stuff because I change regularly. I actually change every 5,000 miles because I've found that it's a lot easier to remember. Every 5,000 miles, I change my oil, and every 10,000 miles, I rotate my tires. Now, this particular van takes 6 quarts of oil, and my wife's out picking me up another bottle because I stupidly bought the wrong weight oil, because my last van was 5 weight 30, and I had the leftover oil from that in there. So pour this in, and I'll just need another 2 quarts. And you want to make sure this funnel's nice and clean, so that you don't end up throwing debris down into your engine. So I guess now is as good a time as any to go ahead and recycle the oil. So let's go ahead and get on that. Take my catch basin here, and then we'll go to any auto parts store and recycle. Also, one other thing I wanted to say is that if you put your 6 quarts in and it's reading halfway between the top line and the bottom line, remember you're still up on ramps, so it might not read completely accurately. So just the 6 quarts fine, or if you want to check it while you're doing it, get it halfway between, on the dipstick, between the low and the high, and you probably will be high the next morning when you check it out. I hope that made sense. Anyway, we're going to fire it up here. We're going to sit here. We're going to listen, let the oil get into the headers before we put it in gear and take it off the ramps. You can hear it. You'll hear the difference. Just be patient, and you can also look at the RPMs drop. you'll hear the sound get deeper. So just be patient for a couple of minutes. Not even, more like 30 seconds or so. And remember, you drained all the oil out, so you don't want to put any strain on that engine until the lubrication's gotten all the way through it. And you're probably not going to hurt it too bad, but why hurt it at all? Alright. Now it's sounding pretty nice. Hey, put it in reverse and back it off these ramps. And there we go. Put it in park. And tomorrow morning, before I fire it up, I will check the oil level. And if it needs a little extra, I'll put it in there. But my guess, since I got it, I put exactly 6 quarts in, I'm guessing it'll be right at the top fill line. But if it needs just a smidge more, I'll put it in there. But I'll check it tomorrow morning on a cold engine. And, well, that's it, guys. Thanks for hanging out in Dandy's driveway. Don't forget, I'm Neil Smith, the Dandy DJ from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I serve a 5-hour radius of the greater Middle Tennessee area for weddings, corporate, church, and family events. All clean content, all family friendly. If that's what you're looking for, check out my website at dandydj.com. Also, don't forget to check out my latest book. Psst, Bride, here's how to ditch your DJ and all your other wedding vendors too. It's available on Amazon, Audible, iTunes, and Smashwords. Stay dandy. Keep your car in shape too. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. All right. Tired of this light in my eyes. I'm going to go inside, clean up, and get some dinner.